One of the things I figured out after doing some of these videos is you got to pause for a second, otherwise it cuts off the first part of the pickup from the microphone. So, I'm not real high tech. You can tell wearing the old headphones at this point, but it gets the point across. And one of the things I'm trying to do when I do online classes, which honestly I do infrequently because I prefer classroom live interaction, but understanding the situation and that the school needed some more online classes. That's why we're doing it. Of course, last fall it was all online, predicated on the COVID outbreak. So this would be typically the first class. Now, hopefully you all watched the very first video that was kind of a breakdown of the computer system, the Blackboard email my GNTC, to try to break down that wall. And I found one of the better ways to try to make this classroomish is to do the slides just like we were in the classroom. Obviously, we don't have the ability to interact, but we have the discussion boards and the chat rooms, and I'll explain more about that in this one and probably on into the next video. And look, some of this may be a bit of repetition, but repetition helps you remember things. So that's us. College, again, student success, introductions, and syllabus review. And the introduction piece you guys have really accomplished or will be accomplishing if you haven't done it yet. That no-show assignment, all it is tell us a little bit about yourself, and everybody in the class can read it. So be professional on it, but there is a piece on there, a hobby, your favorite movie, or a movie you just saw, and you can give us the old Siskel and Ebert thumbs up, thumbs down. It was great, it was terrible. So let's just jump into that, and then once we get into, I'm going to go back into Blackboard and show you how I set up the different steps. Now, it can get a little bit confusing. Step one, the beginning of this class, is really week 2. Week 1, I just leave that for breaking down that communication wall and making sure everybody's up to speed on the electronic piece and getting that no-show assignment done. And that's it. So when we start week 2, we're really into step 1 of the classroom and the textbook. And again, I'll talk more about that as well. So any good presentation has an overview. Here's what we're going to talk about. The handout specifically, I've got a few things that I'm going to put in a supplemental material folder. There are some things out there you probably would be interested in. Now I'll stick in there the fall schedule from the school, but also some things about where GNTC class is, if you pass the class, that you can transfer those credit hours to any of the Georgia public schools. UGA, Georgia Tech, Kennesaw, Dalton, you name it. And so I'll put those in that folder, just kind of an FYI, but it's something you might be interested in if you're looking at doing a year, 2 years of GNTC and then transferring to one of the bigger schools. Here's the beauty of that. If you do a couple years of GNTC, one, it's cheaper, but if you take all those credits and you don't have to fight with registration at, let's say, the University of Georgia, because the state has said these count, you'll save some money, and guess what? When you graduate, it'll say the University of Georgia on your diploma. The first couple of years, it's where you finish, not where you start. So just some information. A little background on me, what you can expect, what I expect from you. The icebreaker, that was your no-show assignment, so we don't get the chance to talk in class, unfortunately. And then I'm going to spend some time on the syllabus. And that's something, it's a goofball term. It's just a guide. It steps you through the class, and it spells out a few things. One, the contact information for the instructor, which you already have a couple of. I'll show you the other two. But the last page of the syllabus is the plan for the semester, in our case the half semester, but it's still the full amount of course material. So get used to looking at those syllabi for the different classes you're taking so that you know what's coming. And don't look the day prior, look the week prior. Right? Be ahead of the curve. The email and computer setup, that's already a YouTube video, and hopefully you've watched it. If you haven't, basically what you can do is the first time you click on any of these videos, they're all on YouTube, and I've got a channel which I managed to erase all of my videos somehow. I changed my name in YouTube, so I'm starting from scratch, but you can subscribe to Wheels Web, and you'll understand Wheels here in a second. And then all the videos I do for each of the classes, there'll be a link in Blackboard, or you can just look on YouTube if you subscribe to my channel. I'm not trying to boost my numbers. I certainly don't get paid. We're talking, single digits most of the time anyhow. And a little bit about why this thing of student success, college success. I've mentioned it in the first video that success in college and success in life are tied together because the same skills apply. So here's the textbook, and that's one of the first questions I usually get is, hey, where's the textbook? Where do I get it? What does it cost? It's all online. It's embedded in Blackboard. It's what's called an open educational resource. You don't really care about that. What you do care about is it's free. So when we get into the actual breakdown of how Blackboard looks, you'll see there's a link to each of the chapters called steps in this case. And this is a book that I help the faculty at GNTC put together. So we cut out a lot of the BS, pardon my French, but try to really focus on things that apply to student success. Okay? So that's what the book, the cover looks like, but you don't have to buy anything. And just a tidbit of info here. When and if you go back to actual classroom classes, just realize the school, it's a little bit confusing. They use a single digit to delineate when the class is being given. So Monday, Wednesday, that's easy. M, Monday, right, if it's a one time a week. TR means Tuesday and Thursday. And invariably, new students see TR and go Thursday. So I don't see them on Tuesday. They show up the first time Thursday. T, Tuesday, R, Thursday. So it would be a Tuesday, Thursday class. Just FYI. All right, a little bit about me. I'm going to go quick through this because I posted it in the introduction, the no-show assignment, just as an example. Don't feel like you have to fill yours out that detailed. You can if you want, but just so you know, academically where I get my mojo. So I started out. I went to an aviation school in Daytona Beach, which was fun. I mean, as an 18-year-old in Daytona Beach, my first spring break, I almost flunked out because I was partying spring break central. But I had to make a decision, which probably some of you have as well, that fork in the road. What am I going to do? Why am I here? And so maybe that was the best semester because I did horribly. I was on probation, but I figured out, you know what? I better get my act together. And had I not done that, I wouldn't be talking to you through this great computer system right now. So from that, I got a master's in history, and that's what I usually teach. Kind of a half and half, history and college student success. One day I'll get that right, probably not. And yeah, I got a PhD. So look, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I'm a lifelong learner. And I think that's important that we should learn something, maybe not even leading to some kind of diploma, but learn something every day. Once you think you know everything, you're a fool. So learn something new. And if you don't know, ask. Right? We have ways to communicate. We've got this access to the internet. We've got phones where we can literally tie into a world of knowledge. So let's use them for that. Yeah, and play Angry Birds once in a while, but use them more for useful things. My first life, my first career, I was a pilot in the Air Force for 22 years. I retired in 2007. We can chat about if you're interested in a career in aviation or the military or anything like that. I'm happy to talk about it. It was time for me to go when I left, but I don't begrudge any of the time I spent. It made me a lot of who I am. And then I started teaching soon after retirement. I actually started at the Howard School, downtown Chattanooga, teaching the senior class, and then kind of bounced around some. I taught at University of Phoenix, who once upon a time taught adult learners that cared, and then they became a money-making institution. And so I put in my notice, unfortunately. Dalton State, yep. And I started with GNTC, just keeps slipping farther into the past. I've been there, going on 8 years this next January. So I really like both the GNTC style, that you can take classes and not find yourself $100,000 in debt, and that the courses they teach, they're not going to have a program that leads to a dead end. So they don't teach courses that you would spend all that money and then find yourself with no job opportunities working at Starbucks. Okay, and you see a lot of that with regular 4-year students and they're just massively in debt with no job opportunities. I'm also this, I work with the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. This Center for Reflective Citizenship tries to reinvigorate the teaching of history and civics in our public schools, like what the Constitution really says as opposed to some of these idiots on TV. Personally, just again, FYI, I don't know why, but my wife has mercifully put up with me for 33 years. We got two kids. One's a computer engineer, the other's a professional gamer. He was really on a pro Overwatch team for a while. Now he's working for this group called Cloud9, which I don't know a lot about gaming, but they're pretty big shots. Living all over the world, that gave me some perspective on things as far as culture, looking at people for what they bring to the table as opposed to what they look like, and deployments all over the place, and most of the time to really bad places. So I spent a lot of time in Iraq and Afghanistan. I like working on cars, and I got a couple pictures just so you can see what these are. But turning wrenches, restoring cars, racing cars. And we got Team Achy Breaky, like my oldest son, me, my brother drive, and my youngest son and a friend of the family are our pit crew. And we do anywhere from an 8-hour to a 24-hour endurance race in this piece of junk. All right, so I flew those for a little bit, and then moved into special operations. So I flew these highly modified C-130s, taking SEALs, Green Beret, places we weren't supposed to be. I did that for the last probably 14 years of my career. One of the things I try to do is break the ice a little bit when we do, regular classes. So this is just a gaff. You guys know what stealth means? It means it can't be seen by radar. This is just a joke. Somebody more creative than I came up with that picture. So you can see where it rained and it left the outline of the F-15 and the guys hopping in. So yeah, that's like Wonder Woman's airplane, right? It's invisible. It's a joke. That's one. That's the other. A couple of the cars that do some racing with. Anyhow, what you can expect from me. Online, it's different. I won't say difficult, because there is opportunities to communicate either through email, the discussion boards, the chat room, phone call, anything. So I'm here for you guys. So keep that in mind, right? And office hours don't really apply to an online class. That would be where I'm sitting on the campus and you come meet me. And because I teach all over the place, I don't have office hours this semester. So look, that means give me a holler. The reason I brought up, and I didn't really talk about it, my wife is the director of nursing at a big facility here in Chattanooga. So she's more than willing to talk to students that are interested in healthcare. And of course, on my end, history, cars, airplanes, military, blah, blah, blah. But we're both resources for you. So call me. You're not bothering me. Don't let me do all the talking. That becomes tougher, obviously, in a virtual class. But that's part of what the chat room's for, is for you guys to ask questions, express opinions, just talk about stuff. And the discussion board kind of gets us halfway there. It's not the greatest, but it's better than nothing. And if you ask me a question I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. And heck, connected to the internet, we'll look it up and find out together. Lifelong learning, right? And if there's some feedback, if how I've set up Blackboard is confusing, if there's a little note I can add to some of the assignments that would make it clearer, let me know, right? Because I'm still kind of a rookie at this online learning stuff. So I'm trying to think of, if I was in your shoes, how would I like it? And that's how I build it. But that's not perfect, right? I have fresh eyes, you guys looking at it and saying, hey, whoa, if you would add this to the Blackboard, it'd make it a lot better. Tell me that, right? I'm all willing to and able to fix it. Why this class? This is a different answer than normal. Typically, when the school is not in this COVID protocol, they do some onboarding. They do some testing when you register for school to see if you're weak in math or English or whatever it is. And if you come out where you need remedial, usually math, and that would be me too at this point, you end up having to take College 1500, Student Success. Right now, you guys voluntarily decided to take it. So one, I think that's a smart decision. I think every student walking through the door at GNTC should take this class. But that's why you're in it, okay? And hopefully you get something out of it. That's the point. And I've said this before, I'll keep saying it, you'll get sick of hearing it. Success in college, success in life are directly related because the same skills apply. I don't expect you guys to be perfect. You're brand new college students, and probably some of you are petrified about this electronic online environment. But Work to get better. The pursuit of perfection. Don't just do the same things over and over again and get hammered for it. Right? Uh, do this even if it's virtual. As you're looking through my slides or you hear me say something, look, I don't varnish my opinion on things. Now, I'm not going to be controversial just for the sake of, people going, gasp, I can't believe he said that. But listen, think, and then speak, and do that with your peers as well. You may not agree with their opinion, but listen to them, and then, or read the discussion board and go, yeah, I agree with part of that, or I don't agree, and here's why. And the here's why should be based in facts. And we'll come back to that in the next class video, because we are surrounded in our world today by misinformation. Okay, so listen, think, then speak. One at a time. In the chat rooms, they can get a little bit boisterous, and I may have to say time out. Everybody shut up for a second, and then one at a time, just so we can hear what other people are saying, because I want to hear your opinions as well. And do this for me. You may not like somebody's ideas. You may disagree with them. And there's plenty of things out there. You can pick just right now off the top of your head, 5 different things, COVID vaccines being one of them, where people have violent disagreements. Again, let's base it on objective fact, not Facebook trends or other BS, otherwise known as spin. But if you disagree, yeah, you're welcome to attack those ideas, but not the person. There's far too much of that. It's called an ad hominem attack. You attack the person, not what they're talking about. You just try to make them look like a fool. Okay, so be part of the class. Check in, watch these videos, participate in the discussion boards. I do recommend jumping on the chat once in a while. It's not a hard requirement to do it, but I've built 2 chats during the week at different times to hopefully catch folks who have different schedules, have kids at home, etc. Okay, so do that. When you're working on class assignments, I recommend you turn off the phone, right, or put it somewhere else. If you have a potential big call, I get that. But phones are a huge distraction because it goes ding and you go, oh geez. And then you start fiddling around, and then 20 minutes later, both the time is gone and your mental focus that you were digging into that first worksheet, you got to go back and recalibrate your brain, and it wastes a huge amount of time. Okay, and do this. Get in the habit. You're going to hear me say the word habit a lot. Get things done on time. A couple days early is okay. Most things are going to be posted as the week begins, and they may not be due to the middle of the week or the end of the week. That doesn't mean you have to wait until the absolute deadline. Now, deadlines are there for a reason. If there weren't deadlines, probably nothing would ever get done. But if you can get it done early, especially if you're taking 2 or 3 classes, that helps with time management. So get in that habit, okay? And focus beyond the short term. I'm not going to move my head. It's in the way a little bit. But dig deeper, right? Focus beyond just the class or just the worksheet. There's a really destructive tendency people have. It's only a worksheet. It's only a class. It's only a semester. It's only a year. Pretty soon, 10 years have gone by, and you look back and you go, geez, I haven't done anything I wanted to accomplish because it's only this, and that snowballs. So get in the habit of not. That's why on time is important. So don't be like this guy, one of my least favorite people on the planet. This is attacking people. Oh, look, nice typo. Attach. Attack ideas, not people. Don't be like Billo here, right? You're winning this debate, so I'll just scream louder and louder. We see that plenty. Okay, so digging deeper. One of the things I don't purposefully use huge words in writing or speaking, but sometimes I'll use something that just hits that perfect meaning. If you don't know what it is, look it up, right? And one of the ways you can do that, and let's see how well I do here. I'm going to and show and try to bring up an online reference. I've got a couple things cooked up for you guys. Let's see. Nope. Yep, there it is. One of the things I use pretty regularly is called the free dictionary. Yes, of course, it's a dictionary, but it also will help with pronunciation. If you're giving a presentation and there's a word you don't know how to pronounce, that's one of my peeves, actually. You get up there and fumble through it. So just type it in here. Hey, the United States, I would say, is a bifurcated society at this point. Well, what does that mean? Well, It's a little small and fuzzy, so let's blow it up. Divided into two parts or branches, separated into two parts, right? We have very bifurcated society at this point. And the other thing is, if you don't know how to pronounce it, we'll see if this comes through.
Bifurcate.
Oof.
Bifurcate.
You can have God pronounce it for you, or the Queen. Let's see if this works.
Bifurcate.
Oh, lovely. Right? So now you know how to pronounce it. And the other thing Free Dictionary has is links to thesauruses, words that, have the same meaning but are different. So you don't use the word excellent a million times. Different dictionaries, medical, financial, and a link to Wikipedia, which I'll save the discussion on Wikipedia. Let me jot that down for the next video, because Wikipedia, in Mike's humble opinion, gets a bad rep in academia. Yes, I wouldn't use it as an academic resource in a paper, but if I need a quick overview of the Battle of Hastings and I Google it, guess what's going to come up first? Wikipedia. And it's probably going to give a pretty darn good overview of the battle. Okay? So the other one's Blackboard, and we're going to come back to that. So back to the slides. Look at this. I almost sort of kind of know what I'm doing a little. Right? So the Free Dictionary. If it's not clear in the text, go ahead and ask, what the heck are learning styles? And maybe more importantly, do they even matter? And again, partially my opinion is they do, but not nearly as much as a lot of people think they do. I'm a visual learner, right? I tend to be a hands-on learner. Doing things helps me remember things. And remember, you're trying to learn more than the minimum here. This isn't, just skate through, get the credits, because, yeah, this class isn't the most academically demanding, but you're going to run into some that are as you move forward in your diploma or your associate's degree. So the more you learn now, you expand your knowledge, you expand your scope, your view of the world, the better you're going to do. So do that, okay? And, presentation-wise, I mentioned that. If you ever had somebody give a presentation and fumble through it or mispronounce, they almost instantly lose credibility. And maybe I'm overly critical sometimes. And the last thing is academic freedom. This is an academic class. We're going to act like adults. We're going to be professional, but we can discuss things in these forums that try doing that in the so-called real world outside. People lose their minds instantly when you bring up some of these hot button issues like gun safety or abortion or vaccines or the COVID virus or the presidential election, right? Again, objective fact, not speculation, not some idiot's opinion off of Facebook or Reddit. If you got something going on, let me know, right? And when we get to the syllabus here in just a second, you've already got two. You got my school email, my cell phone. There's ways to get a hold of me, right? If you can do it ahead of time, we can probably solve the issue. If not, now we're trying to rebuild the dike. And it becomes a trend. You start seeing the same students making up, my grandmother died for the 17th time. Okay. Right. So those avenues to make contact. Something's going on, let me know. I'm not an ogre, but things are due when they're due. Otherwise, it's just chaos. Just turn it in whenever. Nah, that's not how it works, because the world doesn't work that way. And I'm convinced of this, that communications, written, verbal, are key to what we do. And if you are a very good written and oral communicator, that will help you in your job. People like to listen to folks that know how to speak well. I'm not the greatest, but I'm all right. And try this. In some of if you email me, it doesn't have to be super academic, but in your discussion boards, proof them. Look for typos. Improve your language skills, right? And I know the laughing my butt off thing and all the text style stuff. That's fine when you're texting because it saves space, but not in the classroom, right? To me, texting. Think about it this way. Texting for I'll be home at 6. Great. Try to explain brain surgery via texting. It's a very limited communications avenue, so it should be used as such. My oldest son, when he was at school up at UT, I got the, bling, my phone goes off, and I look at it, and it's this text, and it's like 5, 6, 7, 8, and I just started reading the first 2 sentences. I looked at it, I was like, oh my God. You know what I sent back to him? Call me. I'm not reading all that crap. Call me. If it's that important, call me. Right, and this is another joke slide. I would rather blank than speak in public. A lot of people don't like it. In fact, probably most would list speaking in public as one of their greatest fears. Mine's spiders. But the more you do it, the better you get. And we're going to do a quasi speak in public thing in this class. It's too bad we're not in the classroom because I think that's what we end with in a regular class. But look, nobody's ever died in a public speaking accident. Yay. A joke. Knitting accident, 7 deaths. I guess, if you poked a needle in your ear. Okay. So this was where you tell me about you, the stuff in that icebreaker. And this video will be posted before that's due, October 17th, end of day. But that was the idea, is you tell me a little bit about yourself. I get to know you guys, your name, what you like to be called, etc. So you can put all that in the discussion board as well. So here we are. Whew. Oh, I talk too much sometimes. Let's look at the syllabus. Dun, 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 dun. There it is. Right, and this is going to be posted in Blackboard as well. So some of the boilerplate stuff, the school, the class, that CRN, course registration number, that I talked about. Let me blow it up a little bit. You don't really care, but that's what it is if you ever need it for something. It's a 3 credit hour course, and it's online. And there's my contact info, some of which you have. Now you've got the rest. My home phone and my personal email. I also put on here the chat schedule. Okay. So if you've got something on your mind, or you just want to, you just want to BS a little bit, or you're interested in thinking about joining the military, what's it like flying airplanes? That's when I'll be online for the chat. Okay? And I do want you to jump on once or twice during the semester, but usually what happens is I get 3, 4, 5, 6 students that do it, and they start enjoying it, and they get to know each other through the chat. Okay, and you can chat just with your microphone. You don't have to turn on your computer, especially the Monday, or even more so the Wednesday 8 a.m. chat. You may look like the cat just drug you in, so don't turn on your camera. Just talk. Or there is a typing function. You can just type in stuff in the chat. Okay, but that's there for you. The required text, already mentioned it. That's what it looks like, and I'll show you where it is here when we get to Blackboard. That'll be the last piece of this video. I try to keep them 35 to 45 minutes. Otherwise, human brains can focus for about 45 minutes. And so if you've ever had a class, actual classroom that was an hour and a half, you find yourself just zoning out at about the 50-minute mark. If you ever do take my classes in person, they're hour and a half. We take a break at the 50-minute mark for that very reason. So I went off on a tangent. Okay, course description. This comes out of the course catalog, what we're going to talk about. A little more detail on that, not much. Some key dates. Yeah, we start the middle of the semester, and you've only got a couple days to add or drop and get your money back. If you do drop, there's a second drop date later in the semester, last day to withdraw with a W, and I'll explain what that means down the road. But you've only got a couple days to make that decision. What does come up fairly quickly for you guys in the B term is this. Returning students, that's you guys. And so you can start working on spring registration almost immediately as we start this class. And that can be a little bit confusing, so that may be a thing to get on the chat room. And we can step through it, because I can throw my computer screens up. What should I register for? How do I do it? And you can either do it in person, or you can do it through my GNTC. We have a full week off that week leading up to and through Thanksgiving, which is nice, but watch out. When we get to the last page, I'll make it clear that last week of class comes up immediately after, really immediately after the Thanksgiving break, and then we're done. So don't waste that time. If you can get a few things done during that break without impinging on your holiday, because it's nice to recharge your batteries, do it. Right? So here's the competencies, getting off to a good start. And again, the steps are the way the textbook is broken down. And so you'll see those in the last page of the syllabus. Getting off to a good start, trying to break down some of these unknowns, because college is this big unknown. And guess what? Human nature makes mountains out of molehills. If you don't know something, naturally in your mind, you make it this huge obstacle. Well, maybe it's not. And that's what we're going to try to get through this first week or so. Learning and personality styles, yeah, more about how the brain works than that. Time and money, stress, right? Adding something else to your plate, like a college class, adds to your stress level. Some studying and test taking skills. Part of that's time management, communications, and career. Okay, and then these other ones kind of roll into some of the other pieces, research skill, college campus knowledge. For you guys, that's the electronic campus at this point. So that breaks down what we're going to talk about. And this last piece is really kind of the last step in the class. And you guys will build a presentation. Unfortunately, we can't do it in class, but I have had students do a webcam and record it and send it to me. We'll talk a lot more about that as it comes up, but don't panic. So everything you need is really online. So what I would recommend is that you have or get, they're cheap as heck now, some kind of flash drive where you can save all this, back it up so you don't lose it. And the other thing I would recommend is build a folder on your desktop for the class itself. And so I'm going to go off on a tangent. Danger. Let me get to the desktop. And what you can do is, let me go through this slower. You right click anywhere on the desktop. Say new folder and just click that. And see how that showed up? New folder. You can put it wherever you want. Put it on Bryce's head. Put it on his butt. If you double click it slowly, now you can rename that folder to whatever you want. And what I would do is call it College 1500 and just click away from it, and that saves the name. And now whenever I do a worksheet, I save it, save as name and location. And I'll talk more about that probably in the next video. Keep all your stuff in a folder. And if you got 3 or 4 classes, have those folders for each class. It helps keep you organized, just like you would do with a binder if you were in a regular class, right? The old school. Okay, where were we? Syllabus, tangent. Participation is a little bit different than the classroom piece, but participation is not just short 3-word answers, both in the discussion and more importantly on the worksheets. I want robust college level answers that you've thought about with good spelling and grammar. Now again, you're not perfect, but we're working to get there. Okay? So that's participation. Quizzes, worksheets, exams. Let me just step through the last page of the syllabus to show where those come up, and then I'll show you Blackboard where they exist, and then we'll call this video complete. And then the 10-minute presentation. It's a presentation you build. Typically people use PowerPoint and just send it to me with their speaker notes, what they would have said, but some do webcam lectures. And again, a lot more on that as we go. So you don't have to know all of what we're going to do throughout the semester right now, but you know where to look if you've got a question on, hey, you know, where do when are the quizzes? Do you drop a quiz? Yes, one, or a worksheet. I drop one, only one of those. If you mess one up, or say you miss one, right? You just forgot about it, so that 0 would disappear. Grading policies, on time, right? If not, yes, you can turn it in late, but there's a penalty involved, and after 3 days, just because of the tempo of the class, you get a 0. Look, I'm not trying to be an ogre, but it's the way it is. Without some kind of standard, we have chaos. And there's the breakdown. So no one thing is going to make your grade, and no one thing's going to kill your grade. That's why I do it that way. So it's a kind of an overall, whole person concept. And then the grades, that's what GNTC uses. You want to get a C or better in this class. Look, let me be blunt. Some of the easier classes, let's say you're really good at math for some reason. I am not. If there's a class that you find very easy, then don't slack off and just kind of cool your heels and take that B or C. Bank that A, because that helps your grade point average. And then when you hit a class that you really struggle with, let's say you do barely pass it with a C, well, it's not going to hurt your grade point average as much. So bank those easy A's. Right? And I would submit this class should be an A or B for everybody if you put in the time and effort. If you don't, you get what you earn. I don't give out anything. Right? And then some policies, email, the collaboration link, I'll show you that in Blackboard. That's the chat, if you will, and you can join and talk and type. Don't cheat, don't plagiarize, don't BS me, right? And again, we'll talk more about what those mean. If you have to withdraw, think about what you should do first is talk to your counselor. That's another thing I want to do. Where are they? Who are they? How do I get a hold of them? I'll show you that in the next video. You may know already, and if you do, that's great. Okay, so here's kind of the keys to the kingdom, that last page of the syllabus. What's happening and when? And so because it's a B term, I broke it down by week. And so you can see week 1, the first week of the class, October 11th to 17th, complete student introduction discussion board. That's all there is. And what I put here was how to get to it. And I'll show you that in Blackboard. But if you forget, that's how you get to it. Blackboard lesson, step 1, blah, blah, blah. Okay? And then each week, you see the window of that week, what the chapter, the step is in the textbook, and then what's due during that week. And they're not all due at the end of the week. So that's why I put these due dates off to the side. Because to me, it's crazy to make everything due at the last. You just blast it all in. I got to get it back to you. So let's make it kind of sequential and step through. So you've got 4 days to get the Y College worksheet, and it's not huge. The discussion boards will go all week, and then the quiz, it'll be available before the end of the week, but it's due by the end of the week, right? So if it's out there and you've done all the worksheet, you read the whole chapter, and the quiz is available, and that's October 21st, take it. Get ahead of the curve when you can, right? And the same goes for the rest of the weeks. And I put in there what's going on during that week. We do have a midterm that'll be online. All quizzes and tests are open book online. The quizzes are usually 15 questions. You have an hour. The midterm and final 40 to 50 questions, and you have 2 hours, which is usually more than enough time. And they're open book. But here, caution. People think open book, piece of cake. I don't have to read, I don't have to study. If you have to take 10 minutes to look something up on every single question because you haven't done any of the reading, you're not going to have enough time. So what you want to do is look at the questions and go, yeah, I know that COLL, bam, bam, bam. And then you hit one, you go, man, I'm not sure, I better look that one up. And when you're doing that occasionally, you'll get the answer right, and you'll still have plenty of time to do it. So don't misinterpret open book. Okay, there's the fall break. I just plugged it in there so you know what it is, but I also put a note in there. Look at week 7. There's a lot to do. When we get to week 7, we come back from fall break, and when that's done, we roll right into the final exam. So yes, take the break, enjoy Thanksgiving, absolutely, but a few hours spent during that week off would probably be useful so that the last 2 weeks aren't weeks from hell. Okay, so that is the syllabus. How are we doing on time? 37. Oof. That's actually not too bad. Let's see what else I got here on the slides, and I want to just jump over to Blackboard and finish up with that. Right, talked about policies. Those are all in the syllabus, so I don't have to regurgitate those. But there's a 100% correlation, that last bullet, to participating and how you do in the class. And online means plugging into the class sometimes, watching the videos, looking at the slides, being part of the discussion in the chat. Right, get something out of this class. I will save this for probably the next video, talking about priorities and discipline. Look, you hear this, there's no such thing as a stupid question. You know what? There is. But the better answer is, who cares? If you have a question, you're not sure about something, ask it. Now, I may say it's in the syllabus, but here's the answer. But I'm going to answer it. I'm not just going to totally blow you off. So get in the habit of look first, see if you can find the answer, and then when you can't, ask. Because otherwise now you're wasting time. So give it, 5, 10, 15 minutes. Man, I can't find it. Don't spend 6 hours trying to find it. Ask somebody like me, and maybe I can help. And if I don't have the answer, I'll find somebody that can answer it. Okay, I'm going to come back to this. This will be the start of the next class video. So don't look at that. Right, and this is how I end most classes, some kind of goofball slide. This is it's not my job slide, right? It's not my job to pick up the dead possum. I just paint the lines on the highway. And there's way too much of that in the world. Do the little bit of extra. Differentiate yourself by how you speak, how you communicate, what you know, that you're willing to do a little bit more. Now, I'm not saying, work 23 hours a day, but dude, pick that up. And then paint. Okay. End show. And now let's go to Blackboard and finish off with this. A little more technology, right? Tech time. Look, you're going to get where you don't even think about this. It's just natural. So that first video stepped through how to log in and get to Blackboard. If you still have questions, ask. Let me blow this up. Ooh, not that big. And let's go to our class. Because now I actually have some things built. You may see this banner change color. I'm trying to get it. It's kind of annoying. The other thing is sometimes, see when I put the cursor on the edge, sometimes you'll bring up the home page and it'll look like this. And you're like, hey, where's the menu? You just got to come over here and click on that little arrow and it'll expand it. So this is the home page. There's an announcement. I haven't released it yet, but the home page has a link to them. Or you can go to the announcements page and look, there's an announcement. It kind of steps you through again the login. It's a written piece of the video on the computer system. So maybe this helps you for those that are better at reading and following steps. It's not released yet, but you'll see that as soon as you're able to log in. Syllabus, there it is. That's what we just looked at. So if you click on this link, it's going to open that Word document. If you're using your phone, sometimes this secondary syllabus thing will work better. Okay, simple enough. Lessons. Here's where the magic happens. This is where everything's at. So the first thing is here's the textbook and the little verbiage. We designed this, blah, blah, blah. Free and embedded below. All right, so what I try to do in the lessons is break them down per the syllabus. So week 1, what do we have for week 1? Just the no-show assignment, right? So there's that video about how to get in and log in, and it's a link to that video. If you click it, it takes you to that video, and you can watch it and listen to me again, step through that process. And this one will have a link as well. All the videos I do correspond to the slides that are posted, and you can just click the link. It'll take you to YouTube, and you can watch part of it, right? 20 minutes, come back later. I try not to make them too long. This one's one of the longer just because it's so much information. Now look, there it is, the week 1 no-show assignment. Student introductions. Oof. Had a big cough there. Sorry, I had to pause. Student introductions, that's the no-show assignment. So you click on that, and guess what? I already posted one just as kind of an example. So you've got a couple options. Create thread. That starts your own line of the discussion board. You put in a subject, hello class. And then on the bottom here, you kind of step through who you are, your degree program, something interesting about you, and then submit it. The other option is you can look at mine and, by God, please don't make, this is just so you guys know where I'm coming from, and I kind of stepped through all that, so you can just ignore it. But you can also reply, and it'll go RE Mike Reiki, and you can put the information there. What I prefer is you start your own line, right? So that would be the create thread, but there's a couple options, and I'll probably send something back, welcome to the class, whatever, something if we have a connection on a hobby, etc. So there's your discussion piece, and now my dogs are going to start barking. We've got somebody delivering something to the front door. And so each week in the syllabus, that last page we looked at breaks down here. So week 1 just has that one assignment. Now week 2, we really get into the meat of the class. So you open that folder, there's the link to the step 1, the first chapter of the textbook, and then slides and videos associated with the topics for week 1's class. Okay, so there's a couple, and you can look at the slides if you want, and what's in the slides, sometimes there's links involved there, or click on this and it takes you to the video where I talk through it. So what a lot of people do is they'll open the slides and put them, kind of minimize them off to the side, and then watch the video and follow along, right? Then the worksheet, that's due. Why college worksheet? Let me show you what it looks like just so you don't freak out. Okay, you click on it, open it in Word, okay. Dun, da, da, da. And again, it looks simple, but don't put in 2-word answers. These are reflective worksheets. The more you put into them, the more you learn about yourself. Reason I'm attending college, purpose of college, difference between knowledge and wisdom, greatest strength, greatest weakness, biggest fear. And that's generally what the worksheets look like. Okay? So that comes from up here, and that takes thought on your part. That's what I want. There are no book answers on this worksheet. Right, let me close syllabus too. What else? Almost out of time. You guys are getting bored, I can tell. Back to the week 2. All the stuff we're doing. There is a discussion board, and there will be one for each week. Now this one is a little more involved than just tell me about yourself. You can either copy this and then paste it into your discussion board so you have the answers there, or what I try to do is put them in mine. So I've already got this posted, and there's the questions again. And here's where maybe a reply would work better, because you can go up and look at, hey, what were the questions I'm supposed to answer? Okay. Or just copy, paste, create your own thread and answer them. So 6 questions, and then, room for if you want to talk about any of your experiences with online learning. There's some good, there's some bad. Right? Nothing's perfect. That's probably enough. The calendar, I don't use as much in this class. I may put the quizzes in there just so you can see, but because they're windows of time, the hard due dates, I'll probably plug those in for you guys. And this is what it looks like, just so you see it. This is my history class, and when quizzes and stuff happen. So ours will be a different color, but it'll show what's due, that this is a hard due date, and if you click on it, it'll tell you what it is. Right? Don't panic, this is for the history class. Chat. Here's where the chat room will live. So if you click on that, I'll have a session created. It'll be for that day and time, and it'll be open a few minutes before that window. So again, back to the syllabus. We've got a Monday noontime and a Wednesday morning time chat room. You click on that and enter, and you can either talk or just type in. Last one. My grades. What you can see when you click on my grades is your grades in real time. And so once I plug in all the assignments in the grade center, you'll see that, hey, I'm doing great, or ooh, I missed one, and maybe there's still time to turn it in, albeit a day late. So you can always look at how you're doing in the class by clicking on my grades. There's not much there yet because I still got to build it, but there will be once the class starts. Okay. Look, I know that's a lot. And the next slide, or the next video, one of the first slides is a girl getting blasted with a fire hose, because that's what it feels like. You're drinking out of the fire hose. But it'll get better. And if there's something you want to go back over, either look it up in the slides, see if you can find it in the video, or just ask me, because that may be the easier piece. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And as we get rolling through the first couple weeks, I promise you will find this becomes an easier and easier process as long as you stay up with the reading and the assignments, okay? All right, so that's plenty. 48. Oof, that's like a world record. So I'll shut up now, and I'll see you in the next video.